Alright, guys, so we've come now to my favorite time of the month, basically, when a new issue of One Bad Day comes out. Or it would be, because for last month we had a mediocre issue and a bad issue with Bane and Catwoman. So in January it was a pretty middling month. It was a pretty middling middling two issues. But I can safely say that the penultimate comic of this line might be one of the best. I still say Penguin's my favorite, but this is going to be a close second. And it could be a first if I do another reread of it. Yeah. So this is one of the ones me and my girlfriend were really excited about. Because it's Clayface, and we don't get a lot of Clayface stories. Like, we don't get a lot of Clayface-centric stories, so it's really cool to have that here. So, Clayface One Bad Day. What is it all about? Well, first off, it is written by the team of Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, with art by someone I am not even going to try to name, because I'll just butcher it and look like an idiot. So, yeah. Out of respect for the artist, I'm not even going to try to say their name, because they're really good. They really are good. It's just the name is I just can't pronounce the name, so I apologize. But yeah, now, also, I'm not big on variant covers, real quick. I'm not the biggest guy when it comes to variant covers, but there is really one variant cover I want for this book, which is, it's one that's like a parody of a Universal Monster, it's like a parody of a Universal Monster, poster, because, yeah, Basil Harlow is very much inspired by, like, the classic Universal Monsters. So, there's one issue, there's a variant cover out there that's, like, very much like a parody of that. So, yeah. Now, this comic, what is this comic about? This comic is about Clayface doing something you think he would have done, and actually, like, I stopped and thought to myself, why hasn't he done this sooner? Like, yeah, it really made me stop and think, why didn't he do this sooner? Because the whole thing is, Clayface leaves Gotham and goes to LA and takes on a new identity named Clay, and wants to work his way into the movie business, which makes fucking sense! Basil Harlow was a fucking actor before he became Clayface. That's his whole thing. Why didn't he? And he can shapeshift too. So why didn't he just fucking turn into someone else and go there? Well, this comic answers that fucking question. God, I can't believe no one thought of this. Like, really. So kudos to Kelly and Lansing for, pointing out the obvious. Holy shit, we're all dumb. So anyway, coming down from that little moment, this comic, actually, it's kind of the same thing of, like, why I like the Mr. Freeze issue so much. It's part of the reason why I like the Mr. Freeze comic so much, was because it felt like a Batman the Animated Series episode. And this feels like that, too, for a multitude of reasons. This really does feel like a more grown-up version of the Batman Animated Series cartoon. I know it was Matt Hagen who was the Clayface in the cartoon, but I really do hear Ron Perlman's voice in this comic, as well as, of course, Kevin Conroy for this. And we'll get to why this feels like a episode of Batman the Animated Series, like an adult version of Batman the Animated Series, like the Mr. Freeze comic was. So, like I said, the story is that Clayface has gone to LA and has taken on a new identity in the form of Clay, and is trying to do auditions. He's trying to do it like a normal person, where he's trying to rise through the ranks, get his foot in the door, and he does that by being a waiter who's going to these small time auditions. And him and a friend he made, named Corey, have gotten to do an audition for a movie that's called The Killing Joke. I'm not joking. They're literally, it takes you a second. It's like, wait, are they? They are. It's actually kind of funny because it's a comment. It's almost like and yes, all these issues are inspired by Batman. I mean, yeah, The Killing Joke, because it's all One Bad Day. But This comic is like taking that as a movie, and it's also like, haha, don't you get it? Joker was a very popular movie about a few years ago, and is getting a sequel. Yeah, and of course Basil doesn't get the part because he's all about integral vision and like talking about the character because he knows Joker. He knows who the Joker is, so he's like, yeah, obviously it's not supposed to be lighthearted, so. His buddy gets the part, and Clayface does what you expect him to do. He kills him and takes his identity, and from there it just becomes a bloodbath, or a mudbath, that sounded worse, of body counts as Clayface goes through the ranks for the movie. For this movie, that inevitably, when he gets to the director, and kills him, and is like, I've got a new vision for the movie they call The Killing Joke, and what happens is the producer goes, we're canceling it, and we're rebooting it with the Gray Ghost. I'm not kidding. They actually reference the Gray Ghost, that character from the Batman animated series that was voiced by Adam West. Yeah, they're saying like they're rebooting the Gray Ghost as like a more darker form, and they're actually making a cinematic universe with the zombie guy taking point. Doesn't this sound like shots fired? Because I really need to call the cops because there have been shots fired. Like, yeah, this comic is was way ahead, and yeah, goddamn, this book really takes some shot. It's like this comic takes some serious shots at not only like Warner Brothers itself, which I imagine was all in good fun. But still, wow, you got balls, Lanning and Kelly. You guys have got serious balls to take shots at DC Comics directly and Warner Brothers Studios directly. But it also takes some very interesting shots at Hollywood, where Hollywood is like, there's no more art. It's all about who makes the most money, and all that money is spent on making more money from these movies. It's all about, making most, who makes the most money, and we all just smile and wave. This comic actually reminded me a lot of an Image book, I read that was sent to me by my friend Chris, called Glitter Bomb, which actually talked about like the dark underbelly and brutal outlook from Hollywood from the perspective of this aging actor. And I would not be shocked if this comic was a little inspired by Glitter Bomb. It was actually a really good, that was a really good story. And not to say like they ripped this off from Glitter Bomb. I doubt that. I'm just saying like it reminded me a lot of that comic where it does kind of deal with the same themes of this actor who is like from Hollywood from the past is now in like a modern day Hollywood, and it's all just evil. It's all just nasty work. Because that's kind of what Hollywood is. It's a monster. It's a monster bigger than Clayface, and will eat you up and spit you out. Kind of like what Clayface is doing to these people, where he's just draining their life and then killing them and spitting them out as these hollow shells. Again, it's almost like it's almost a lot like how Hollywood does things. So, sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, so it's kind of funny how this all plays out of, like, Clayface is almost like a victim as much as he is the villain. Again, playing into that whole thing of he's, he's very much based off of the classic Universal monsters. I mean, his whole name is a riff of Boris Karloff, So it's a very fascinating book. And like I said earlier, this comic is so much like a classic Batman the Animated Series episode. Really, you could have done this as a Batman episode, as an episode of the 90s cartoon. And yeah, this more than makes up for the Bane and Catwoman issues. It really does. Yeah. And it's also but at the same time, it's kind of sad because for the most part, I've really enjoyed a lot of these One Bad Day issues. And the last one is coming out in March with Tom Taylor and Ivan Reyes doing a comic of Ra's al Ghul, which I'm really excited for. You know, hopefully this comic series ends on a bang. But yeah, it also ends very depressingly. It has a very depressing ending. Again, it really harkens back to, hey, these guys clearly watched the Batman animated series, and because of the reference to Grey Ghost, we're also talking about DC's time in Hollywood, as well as we make a little Batman the movie joke, which comes from Bruce Wayne directly, who's like, yeah, I don't that'll be the day, right? I was like, yeah, I'll give you that one. You've earned this. Also, real quick, another thing I really liked about this, it does something interesting with the theme of the book, because the whole theme of this comic is that it's supposed to be Clayface getting into movies, and how he does it is basically like how they set up this comic is like reading a script in some pages. Like the opening scene is like like right here. It's like the start of a script. I kind of dug that. It plays in that whole theme. I thought it'd be annoying, like when I opened up the book and saw, Clay's apartment, day, white walls and gray carpet, diffuse sunlight through the slanted shades. This place could be an asylum. I'm like, I'm gonna hate this. And then it turned out it actually worked pretty well for the book. So I highly recommend, if you've been loving these books or just want to read one, go check this out. I highly recommend it. This was a really fucking good book. So yeah, you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of Clayface? One Bad Day Clayface. If you guys like it, hate it, comment below, let me know. Once again, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.